Yo, 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 what is up? It is your boy Nerdtaku, and I am back for chapter 1189. We are 11 chapters away. 11 from 1200. That's crazy. But we're here. So, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, do all the good stuff. And if you are a fan, maybe even if you're not, maybe you just want to check it out. If you're a fan of the One Piece TCG, go into my Linktree. I have opened a TCG player shop. I have started a collectibles company. So if you would like to buy some of the One Piece cards, there is a really great place for you to do it. In honor of that, I actually have here 5 packs of OP 16. So I am going to quick open these. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I like to call a hit tower. So basically, I take the last 3 cards of the pack, because that's where the hits are. Well, it's actually the last 2 cards. But sometimes you get a leader card, sometimes you get a Don. You know, there's the possibility for more hits there in the back. But I'm just going to open them live right here and show you guys the hits. Hopefully, I get something good, because I bought these from a local game store, and I just got, I want to say 5 packs out of a booster box. There's usually 2 to 3 hits per booster box. So, let's see if I just sniped the hits of that box, because if I can, get 1 or 2 of the hits, then that means that I made out pretty well for just getting 5 packs. So let's see what we get here. So we got Sengoku leader card. We got Kobe, Yamato, Ben Beckman. We got Zihahaha. We got a Yamato leader. We got Monkey D. Luffy. Mr. One Das Bones. Was that Marco? And that's Doc Q. Vista. Nami. And that is it. So I did not. I got the fodder cards. Nothing really good in here. Nothing crazy. I was really hoping to get like an SEC or something like that, a secret rare. That's alright, you know what? You play the game, you get burned sometimes. But anyway. So I'm really excited. I'm going to probably be making more of a comeback into the content creator space. Now that my daughter is a little bit older, she's a little bit more independent. I can have a little bit more time to do these things. So I'm going to try and make some more content and get better at it. Especially because there are a lot of theories that I've wanted to make videos for the longest time, and I just never have. I'm not super good at the editing process and things like that, so that's something that I'm going to strive for. So please, if you could, make sure to, subscribe, like, comment, do all that good stuff to boost this video, and then be ready for me to drop some more long form content and also some videos on TikTok and stuff like that. So, without further ado, let's get into this chapter. So if you are new here, just know that the chapter is down in the right-hand corner with my logo over it, so that way I don't get copyright strike. This is the official Viz translation. This is not a fan translation. So let's jump into it. So we got One Piece chapter 1189, King of the World. Reader request: naughty, see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil, monkeys, getting scolded by Nami. And See No Evil is Luffy. Say No Evil is Zoro. And Hear No Evil is Sanji. And she's just lecturing the hell out of them. Because it looks like there's mud all over the clothes that she was washing. And they're covered in mud. So, interesting. Maybe because these are the 4 conquerors on the crew. Just kidding. Listen, people are going to clip that. They're going to be like, yo, this guy really thinks Nami's going to be a conqueror, blah, blah, blah. You know, we already got Sanji. Now you're going to tell me that there's going to be 4 conquerors on his crew? Listen, I think Jinbei might be a conqueror too. I don't know. Give it to everybody. I don't care. Conquerors are good. And conquerors are not common in the One Piece world, but they're common in the position of where we're at, where we are only seeing the strongest people now. Because we're in that sea. We're in the final. But let's keep it rolling. Damn. Almost makes you forget where we left off. So Luffy is stabbed through the chest by Emu. And he's like, ugh. And Emu just looks at him. And he just grabs him and just pins him to a fucking tree with the sword. And you hear, hug. And then all of a sudden Usopp, like, looks like he like gets like a flash of like, holy shit, what is happening? Like his observation started working again. He's like, huh? And then Usopp's like, what? And then Nami's like, what is it, Usopp? What happened? And Usopp said, Luffy's okay, right? And then Nami says, what? What do you mean? Don't scare me. Nami says, when has Luffy ever not been okay? And Jinbei says, consider what it means that this enormous giant was defeated, Nami. And then Loki's like, ugh, hey, Fishman, who's been defeated? And then he says, there's no doubt that Luffy's hockey suddenly grew much weaker. Come on, Usopp. I need you to lock in. This was supposed to be your arc. I need you to do something. The fact that he's noticing, kind of crazy. And then we see Frankie and Brooke, and he's like, there, the ice is totally melted now. And Brooke's like, Princess Shuri. And Frankie says, don't heat her up too quick, all right? And he said, not to worry, I have no body warmth. And Brooke says, what happened to you after that? What happened all those years ago? It is you, isn't it? Princess Shuri. And then Ratatasker comes over and is like, Kiriri. And Brooke says, hey, please don't interfere here. And he's like, Kiriri, get. And then Usopp's like, it's safe, right, Brooke? If she's still the scary version. And then all of a sudden we see like a boat coming, being piloted by Haruden and Gerd, it looks like. And someone says, we're going too fast, Haruden. And then Harden's like, wow, whoa, eek. And then Loki's like, what the fuck? What the fuck is happening here? And they just crash into fucking Loki. No way. Oh, wait, but Chopper's with them. And then we hear, arg. You hear guard point, and Gerd just lands on Chopper. And Jinbei's like, Usopp's like, what were you guys trying to do? And Nami's like, Harden, Gerd, Chopper? And then Gerd's like, "Oh, thank you, Chopper. You're so cute and helpful." And then Gerd's like, or Chopper's like, "Oh yeah, well you can't butter me up, you jerk." And then Gerd's like, "There's no time to waste. Loki, show me your wounds." Oh, so they've come to hopefully help Loki. And then Gerd's like, "You're all bloody. Oh no." And Loki says, "Yeah, and some of that was because of you. What are you doing here?" And I hear huff huff. And it says, "If you're just going to fight Hardin, if you're just going to fight Hardin," and he like thinks back, Yoro's like, "Then go to Loki instead." And Hardin's like, "But the children." And Yorul says, "Even if you save the children, it is only a temporary reprieve. Do you really think that this plan to rule over Elbaf came from the decision makers at the Reverie?" And he's like, "Huh?" And Yorul says, "No, of course not. I think it's him." And then we like flash to current time and it says, "Loki." And he's like, "Huh?" He says, "Do you know who that guy is?" Oh man. This means that we're about to hear that Emu is the king of the world, or he's the top guy, or he's the guy that controlled Harold. And Loki fucking clocked it. And he's like, "This is the guy. This is the fucking dude who ruined our lives." And Hardin's gonna crash. He's gonna crash the fuck out. He is. Because that's his dad. And he cared about his pops a lot. Even though his pops probably didn't deserve it, considering Hardin kind of got treated like the redhead stepchild a little bit. That's crazy. And Loki's like, "Yeah, I think I do." Crazy. And then we get flash to Emu and he says, "Thou canst not move now." And then he's like, "Cough, wheeze, wheeze. That sword devours thy vitality." And it says, Luffy's like looking up at him all bloody. And it says, "How many will it take to end thee?" And it says, "Monkey D. Luffy, a hateful name. Thou hast two brothers of different names." Damn, son. Damn, son. This dude is spitting at him. So he's talking about Sabo and Ace. I want to know how Emu is clocking that. And then he said, "One brother slaughtered by the Navy." And he like pointed the sword at like a tree branch and it wilted and died. And Luffy's like, huff, huff. And like he's like looking and says, "The other prominent within the Revolutionary Army." And he stabbed Luffy a second time. Blade of the Sea God, Fragorok. And he goes, "Ah." It says, "In any case, a set of most uncouth brothers." And he's like bleeding out of his mouth and just like, holy shit, dude. Like, what the dude? He's got to be getting pointers from Gege. When he had dinner with him, he said, "Yo, you need to cook Luffy up on a fucking stick, dude. Holy!" And all of a sudden, it says, "It's got to be him," and they're like, "There's a question mark." And he's like, "The one red hair talked about." And it says, "I'll use this power to avenge the memory of my old man and his soldiers." And they're like, this is back when Gabon and Shanks were there. And Shanks says, "Wait, Loki, I understand your rage, but..." And Loki says, "What do you want, red hair?" It says, "Are you going to stop me from getting revenge for my father?" And he said, "I considered Harold..." Then Shanks says, "I considered Harold a friend too. I'd be right there with you. But think carefully now. The government was trying to take control of Elbaf. That's not their end goal. It's preparation for a war." Damn. Shanks is that guy. And then Loki says, "Huh? Is the world government getting into a war with someone else?" And he said, "Well, that ain't my problem. My father died an unjust death. His soldiers were killed along with him. I want vengeance for these crimes, that's all." And Shang says, "And who's guilty? Who will you strike down?" And he says, "The world government." And he said, "The man who manipulated Harold was the king of the world." And like, huh? And he says, "What do you mean, Shanks? The entire concept of the world government is that there is no one king who." And I think Gabon says, "Careful, Shanks." And Shanks says, "It's fine. No one will believe it." And Loki says, "Haha, so I guess that king is the culprit. I'll take his head, nice and simple." And Shanks says, "The king's power is impossible to measure. Go to the Holy Land, and the mystery will only deepen rather than come to light. If it were that simple, someone else would have done it already." I wonder why Gabon said, "Careful, Shanks." Like, I mean, I know Gabon knows. He knows what the One Piece is. He knows the Void Century. You know, he knows the things that happen. He kind of knows that there's a king at the top, you know? But this just, makes me wonder why he's trying to stop him from sharing that information. It's not like with Luffy and Rayleigh when Usopp asked the question and Luffy was like, "Shut the fuck up, I just want the adventure." This is actively something else. Like, these guys aren't trying to have a grand adventure. This guy's trying to go for revenge. So, like, just telling him who his actual fucking target is, I feel like wouldn't matter. Or at least it wouldn't cause Gabon to actually, like, push back on that. Like, "Yo, maybe don't say nothing." Very interesting. And then all of a sudden, like, he thought back to rocks. And then Loki's like, "Huh?" And Shanks says, "It's not yet the time to fight." And Loki says, "Shut your mouth and don't tell me what to do. I don't care where this guy is. I will destroy anything in my way." And Yorul says, "Don't be foolish, Loki." And Loki says, "I left home and spent a few years abroad. In the end, I never did find my way to him. So if that's the king of the world right there, I'll never get a better chance." And then Hardin says, a simpleton's idea of a plan. And Loki says, what? And then Hardin says, but I've got no problem with it. Give me a chance to avenge my father too. And Jinbei said, this is quite an absurd story. And Nami says, if there's a king of the world, then what are the 5 elders for? And then Brooke's like, no, stop trying to interfere if you don't mind. And he's like, Kiri. And Chopper says, he says I froze her because she's dangerous. And he said, what? You're the one who froze her? And Brooke says, yes, she was dangerous. But I'm certain that she was being controlled. And he said, you see, this girl is like a daughter to me. And then Tasker like, Kiriri? And then, like, they see, like, the Gunko to Brooke comparison. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? That makes no sense. Yeah, that's your daughter? Your bones. How do you do that? How'd you bone? It's fucking hilarious. And then we see Robin pop up. And she says, this is all very interesting. And then all of a sudden, Nami's like, Robin? And she's like, come to the library, Chopper. And then Chopper looks over and says, oh, Saul. And he's like, hey, oh my God. And then we see Emu's whipping out the next item. I saw something online that was so funny. It was like Emu with a GTA like weapon wheel. And he really do be going through his whole inventory right now. Emu said, next is, and he says, ah. And then Luffy's like, huff, huff. This will do more than slash thee. He's like, alas, the third will be acts of Zinction, I would say. That's how you say it. Zinction? And Luffy's just cooked. He's so cooked. Oh my God. We cut over Sea Cloud Port, Western Village. And we see Zoro go, King of Hell. 3 sword serpent, 103 mercies. And Summer says, yeah. And Zoro hits him with Dragon Damnation. And Summers counters. And there's a lot of black lightning coming off of it. And then we see 800 years ago, the 19 kings who created this world took an oath of equality, thrusting their weapons into the floor around the empty throne. And you see Zoro, he's just like, whatever. And then you hear Blade of Chaos, Tohu, Vohu, Nemesis, Longinus, Stigma, Muramasa. They are the 19 weapons of those who brought the world to heel. And he says, the Great One used Omen to bring them back and grant them to us. He said, there are no lies among the legends each family passed down. You see, Roronoa Zoro, this is the power that conquered the world. So, he is using the fucking one of the weapons out of the Omen that is one of the original 19 kings. And I saw someone who was like, oh, well, why would there be 19 blades? It's because the one blade that didn't show up would have probably been Vivi's, or well, Lily's, because the Nefertari never actually joined the 20 Kings in ascending to Marie Joie, or could be that one of them wasn't stuck in because that's Emu's. You know, the actual Nerona family never actually ponied up a weapon because they were taking the throne. So, very interesting. But it seems like Zoro might be getting worked a little bit right now. Then we see from the Shepherd family, Graham. And so he's using the Shepherd's family because he was one of the original 20 or 19 kings. And then we hear this spear has been passed down through the Rimu Shifu family, Longinus. And it's like a spear, which is so crazy because, again, when we see Nika, he's wielding a sword and a spear. And I've always said that Zoro is the sword and Sanji is the spear. And now they're literally facing the sword and spear. Like, that's so crazy. And then we hear, thou shouldst be honored to die by the weapons that created the world. And Luffy's like, ah. And then all of a sudden you hear dun dun dun. And Emu swings the axe, and we see Gaban stepping in to block the other axe against Emu, and he is smiling. Oh shit. Holy shit. I don't want Gaban to die. I don't want him to die. And this feels like that is going to happen. I feel like I'm watching the old teacher get ready to sacrifice himself for his young student. Like, oh man. Oh man. This is kind of nuts. Oh man, Gaban. I don't want Gaban to die, and I feel like he has to against Emu. Otherwise, what are the stakes? And it's a break week next week. Oh no. Oh no, bro. Oh, fuck. That's crazy. Ugh. Well, I mean, everyone who was like, a lot of people were thinking, wow, like this is gonna be this is gonna be it. Like, this is gonna be the fucking the thing. Like, we're gonna get a point where we see Emu, you know, pack up our heroes and shit like that. You know, we thought that some people were like, yo, every weapon that Emu has in that like fucking ring is one of the original 19. And turns out that all those things are true. And now we're getting to the point now where this Emu's using an axe and he's fighting one of the strongest axe wielders, an axe man that is fucking just next to none. Which is great. But I feel like the stakes need to make it so that Emu packs up Gaban. And I don't like that because I like Gaban a lot. I like him. I like Ripley. I like Colin. They are all really awesome characters. And for them to be in this position kind of sucks. It's kind of a sad thing to witness, you know? So I'm a little sad at it, if I'm being honest, but I feel like there wasn't another good answer. Like, we can't have Shanks come in and be Captain Save-A-Ho. We can't have, you know, anybody else come in. Because, like, who's going to really be able to fight Emu? Besides for, like, Gaban, Rayleigh, Shanks, Kaido, if he's still alive, maybe Big Mom. Loki, but he's kind of packed up. Like, there's not great options for him. So, yeah, I feel as though this was the only option. Damn, that sucks. That sucks. Well, I mean, it is what it is. Listen, if Gaban's last words are, "You really do remind me of Roger, Luffy, Colin, and Ripley. I love you," I would cry. Yeah, exactly. Like, I love Gaban. I love Ripley. She has really proved herself as, like, a fucking impeccable One Piece mother. And there's not a lot of those. And for them to lose him would be very tragic. And I hate that. But at the same time, it does also make for really good storytelling. My only other issue with it is when Luffy first saw Gaban, he said, "Yo, if Elbaf is still in one piece, come see me, you know, after everything goes down." Like, kind of implying he knew some of the stuff that was about to happen. So that made me go, okay, like, this guy maybe has, like, an inkling of what the fuck is happening here. But this makes me feel like, oh, he's getting packed. He's getting packed for sure. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's all going to work out. But I just know that this is some serious shit right here. So we shall see. We shall see how this plays out. This could be good, or it could be bad. Maybe Gaban buys enough time for the Straw Hats to buck up, maybe get Luffy out of there, heal him up, and then maybe it's like all Straw Hats versus Emu. I don't know. Maybe it's a fucking, you know, an Oars type shit where everyone does their fights and then they all meet up to fucking pack up Emu. But then maybe Emu leaves before he gets packed up because he's like, my time ran out. Winston said, "I've been looking at panels of the empty throne and the weapons." Yeah, there are quite a few weapons there, and they are all different. Like, there are spears, there are axes. Because I looked at it recently on the heels of that theory. Winston said, "There is another axe by the throne. You think Emu will dual wield axes versus Guan?" Bro, I pray for days like that. I want to see this. I want to see if Emu is just like a master of weapons. Because he said, like, Omen is military might. Does he know how to wield all these things because of that? does he have some sort of insider information in the way that, like, when they put their weapons there, their hockey was there, and when he's using them, it's like their hockey is like their memories in the way that he's able to utilize their styles of fighting. Like, that would be fucking nuts. You know, it would be like if you picked up Shusui and then all of a sudden started using fucking Ryuma's blade techniques. Like, that'd be crazy. So yeah, I'm thinking about that. I don't know. There's just a lot going on there, and it's super fucking interesting. I can't deny how interesting it is. So I don't know. There's a lot going on here, and we're about to go into a break week. And Oda's just been cooking so crazy. He's cooking. Like, I will say it these weapons are crazy. I wonder if they're like past like supreme grade. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're special. Like, there's like, the 12 like supreme grade blades, which is like Whitebeard's Naginata, you have Ace from Roger, you have Shusui from Ryuma, you have the Wadoichi Monji, like, you have all these supreme grade blades. I wonder if this is like a level above that. Because, like, Sommers, who is specifically, what we haven't seen is him wield a sword. He's been using his devil fruit mostly, but now that he's using Omen, he's able to use the sword of the Shepherd family. And he's kind of putting Zoro, he's kind of pushing him back, even though Zoro right here is using Conqueror's Haki. He's using King of Hell. He's using 103 Mercies, Dragon Damnation. He used the move that beat King. And he's getting put. He got pushed right on his ass. Like, kind of fucking nuts. So, I mean, it's possible that all these blades, Longinus is the spear that pierced Jesus while he was on the cross. Sanji, King of Heaven. Oh, man, that'd be crazy. Sanji, the King of Heaven. Zoro, the King of Hell. And Luffy, the Sun. But, like, I wonder if all of these blades are similar to, like, the knot that Joy Boy did with his Conqueror's Haki. Because when Sommers is swinging that bitch down here, it almost looks like, it kind of looks like he has like shadows coming off of it, or like something, like some sort of darkness, maybe like the Omen. But I mean, it could, yeah, it's more like something is on the blade, like Omen. But then when you see Zoro, he's got like lightning. But it does make for a pretty crazy clash. I'm not gonna lie. This is getting crazy. You know what else is interesting about Longinus being like the spear that stabbed Jesus? When they stabbed Jesus, water came out. And like Killingham looks like a fish man. And he's from the Remo Shifu family. If he's like part fish man or something like that, and like this spear controls water, and I mean, he just had the god of, rain, Zaza. If he's able to like control water with that spear, that would be really interesting. And also, it would be a really good counter for Sanji, just because his whole thing is flames. So like, he would have to unlock his Conqueror's Haki, one, to damage Killingham, but also he would need it in the sense of, well, he's going to need something external outside of his flames, or something that overpowers like the water power. So he would need flames that are so hot that it would turn water to steam or something like that, to where he might need black flames, or he might need like white flames. Honestly, white flames would probably be the sickest shit that they could give him, like pure white flames, because it would, one, be the opposite of Emu, having the black flames, but it would be like white flames, and then there would be black lightning coming off of the white flames. Like, that would just look so fucking sick. My lord. Give me the One Piece TCG fucking Sanji with white flames coming off of his fucking legs. That'd be amazing. I would love that. So, man, what a chapter. What a thought process. What a ride. All right, let's go through this real quick, because I do have to play some Marvel Rivals. I gotta rank up. I need to get some ranked in. White Flames with Conqueror's Hockey sounds so cool and badass. Yeah. Like, so far, that is the progression of Sanji's Flames. Like, we went from red flames, like the orange red flames, he had Diable Jambe. Then he made them even hotter. So then he got blue flames. But then white flames are even hotter than that. So if he had white flames, like with Conqueror's Hockey on them, just sounds fucking amazing. Like, that to me would be insane. But yeah, I would fucking love that for Sanji. Yeah, I think that, he's black like Sanji, but then it would be really interesting to see people being like, oh, he's black like Sanji. Well, then why do his legs turn white? Why is he able to hit like that? So, I don't know. Kind of sick nasty. But yeah, so the beginning, just Emu just being a damn menace. I'm telling you. Usopp's fucking observation hockey clocking that, and then Jinbei being like, yeah, we can feel his hockey's getting weaker. And that's because that blade absorbs vitality, And then you have this whole thing with them riding the boat and crashing into Loki, which is fucked up, man. This man has been gone through the ringer. He got fucked up by Shamrock. He then turned around and got, bandaged up a little bit, but then went basically right back into combat, and then got put after running wild for a little bit, when they said that he would take months to recover. And then after getting his shit rocked, he flew so hard after getting stabbed in the chest like twice by Stigma and then Nemesis. And then he flew and bonked his head on fucking ice, and now he's just laid up. And then he gets hit by this? That's crazy. Dude is probably the tankiest person I've seen in One Piece besides Luffy. Chopper being here at the front lines is great news. One, he's a doctor. He can heal people. That's great. Part of me wonders if we are going to see Forest God Chopper sooner rather than later. My opinion, it's always been foreshadowed that he is the Forest God, and one of the Forest God's things is healing people. So for him to be able to fucking awaken his devil fruit and slap the dog shit out of Emu because he's able to knock demons out of people, and be able to do real damage against Emu, would be great. And if he awakens and he's able to heal Luffy and Loki in meaningful ways to get them back in the fight with him, that would be dope. I'm very interested to see why Chopper is being called over to the library. Oh, that's later. But the little flashback with Harold or Harden and Yarul is interesting. The fact that Emu knows Luffy very well, he knows his brothers, he knows like what's going on with him. Also very interesting. It means he's keeping tabs on him. I wonder if he knew that he had the fruit and was just like, "Yo, I'm gonna keep tabs on him." Like, obviously, he had the understanding of like he had the devil fruit, but he just didn't think that he was that guy. And he stabbed the wanted poster and stuff like that. So he was kind of looking, but I didn't know that his thoughts went this deep. It says Chopper's going to talk to Biblo. Biblo upscale incoming. Actually, that's not a bad fucking idea, to be honest. I'm glad that he did a little bit of translating for Ratatosker in this chapter. I'm like, yo, have him tell you what the beef is. But yeah, so Luffy getting stabbed not once, ladies and gentlemen, but twice is fucking nuts. And he says that this is the blade of the sea god. Very interesting. This whole thing with Shanks and Loki being like, yo, like there is a king of the world. He's planning for a war. We got to get at it. And then Harden being like, yo, that's a dog shit plan. I'm in. You know, he's like, sounds terrible. I'm in. Brooke yelling at Ratatosker and him saying that she's like a daughter, and then Ratatosker being super confused. Fucking hilarious. We just went from literally seeing Luffy get stabbed to this hilarious moment, but it didn't feel unnatural. Jinbei paying attention as well as the other Straw Hats, except for Brooke, being like, this is a crazy fucking story. And then even Nami being like, yeah, what the fuck is the point of the five elders? Like, that's fair. And then Robin basically being like, yo, come over to the library. And then we cut to that Emu pulling out the axe. Super cool. And then we finally get this moment of like Zoro fighting Sommers, and them talking about the swords and the weapons. And then we get the final piece of all these blades belong to the original kings, and we get what is going to be the face-offs for now. We get Sanji, we get Zoro, we get fucking Gabon. Like, these are the face-offs as of now, because we got Luffy, Loki out of commission again. We need them to get back in the fight. Otherwise, this to me is feeling very Sabaody, because you see Luffy is completely outmatched here. And just like Rayleigh stepped in with Kizaru, Gabon is stepping in with Emu. Do I think that this is different in the way that Gabon is punching above his weight class here? He just is. I don't think Rayleigh was. I think Rayleigh was stalling in his old age and was just like, okay, I'm going to hold him off. This feels very much like I'm about to throw my life away for this guy. Shanks said that he's the next guy. I believe him, and I'm going to make it happen. So, overall, this chapter was excellent. I want to say this chapter to me is what One Piece is about. The only thing that we didn't get that was like... And actually, you know what? I'm going to take that back. We did get everything. We got some lore. We got some Shanks talking and knowing about the King of the World. And Gabon also knowing about the King of the World, telling Loki. So we got that lore. We got an insanely high stakes with Luffy getting put like this. We have Zoro and Sanji fighting two of their strongest opponents that they've ever fought. And then we're also getting like information about Shuri kind of, and we're getting a little bit of comedy, and we're getting all these different things. We're getting Usopp using his fucking observation hockey. Like, we're getting so much here. This chapter to me truly feels like a fucking, like a 10 out of 10. Like, I love this chapter. It was very good, and there's so much interesting stuff happening. So, that is my thoughts on it. Please, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much, Winston, for coming through, sharing your bit of information. Again, Chopper talking to Biplo, I love it. Hopefully we get the confirmation that it's like fucking, what was his name, William Arnott, and he's got some information on fucking Elbaf, or something that needs to happen, or whatever. Like, there's so much going on right now, and this is just developing at such a rapid pace. And like, these break weeks are coming in clutch because they're giving me time to think and mull this stuff over. I hate waiting, but at the same time, it's great. So I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's been fucking dope. It has been. The Elbaf is just, I've never seen Oda cook like this, and he's just making it fucking so fun. And when the anime fully gets like done with Elbaf, once the manga's moved on and stuff like that, and it gets fully animated with all the backstories and everything else, like, Elbaf is looking like top one arc. It just is. Like, it's got so much so far. It's got action, it's got stakes, it's got fucking, all these great things. It's looking amazing. Might be like the first, 10 out of 10 arc, 9.5. It might be one of the ones that we talk about, like Enies Lobby, like fucking, Water 7, those type of things. Just Roof Piece for Wano. Some people don't like all of Wano, but it's been great. So, as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like the stream if you can. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. I will be trying to, like I said, get some more content out there. Now that my daughter's getting a little bit older, she's being a little bit more independent. I have a little bit more free time. I'm hoping to get some things under my belt, get to learning more about this. Plus, like I said, if you can, go to the Linktree, check out the Nerdtaku TCG player. If you play the card game, or if you want to buy some cool cards, it's right there. And just thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Winston, for being here. And thank you for everyone who comments after and lets me know your thoughts. Because I say this every stream, and I always will. One Piece is better as a conversation. And I love having that conversation with you guys. So, as always, love one another. Be kind. And I will see you not next weekend, but the following, when 1190, we are going to be 10 chapters away from being at 1200, which I'm trying to see if I can get something together where I have, a few people come through, or I might have a few people do a live reaction with me. So, thank you as always, and I will see you guys next time.